Hello and welcome to Learn, Do, Become Radio. I'm April Perry, and here at Learn, Do, Become, we help people who are drowning in the details of life to create simple systems so we can do what matters most. Today we are talking about closet and life cleanup. Now, if you already have a totally clean, beautiful closet, this still might be helpful for you, but if you're normal like all of us and you have a closet that maybe feels a little overwhelming, today we're going to help you to be able to not only tackle that closet, but also be able to apply the principles of closet decluttering to the bigger picture of your life. If you've read the book Essentialism by Greg McKeown, he talks about how we want to keep our lives streamlined and organized and beautiful and simple. And he uses an analogy where he talks about how your closet and your life really are linked in so many ways. So for example, let's say that you cleaned out your closet and it has in it exactly what you want. And then you leave and you go about your day's activities and you come back at the end of the day and your closet is full of other people's stuff. How would you feel? I mean, I know I would feel completely overwhelmed and frustrated, especially if that continued to happen day after day after day. Well, our lives are like that in so many ways. Other people give us their projects, their tasks, their expectations, their emotional burdens, and throw things on us. And if we don't have boundaries and if we're not discerning, we can end up with a life full of things that we don't want or need or use or desire. And we want our closets to be a great metaphor for our lives. Where my goal is that each day when I wake up and I go into my closet to get dressed, that my closet gives me a lift. I think, okay, this is my space to prepare for the day, to get myself ready, to be able to think about the things that are most important to me. And then I can move throughout my day being able to serve and live my purpose, take care of my family, and have a beautiful life. And I'm guessing you want something similar to that. So, first of all, if you want to hear more about our conversation with Greg McKeown, we do have a previous podcast with him. You can search it at learndobecome.com. We've got a great little search bar there. That will be awesome. And if you want to read his book, Essentialism, we'll put a link to it in the show notes. Everything I talk about today, you can locate on our show notes page at learndobecome.com/episode 82. Okay? All right. Now, what I'm going to do right now is actually take you to a little 10-minute recording that I made from my iPad while I was sitting on the floor of my closet. What happened was, over the past couple of years since we moved into the house we live in currently, my closet started to gather a lot of different things. There were some framed photos, there's some boards that we were using for some brainstorming, things my children were outgrowing that we maybe needed to donate, just extra clothes that I never really wore, and I was focusing on other tasks and other projects, and I know you understand, and I had never gone back to my closet to reorganize and streamline. So I made it a priority, made it one of my current projects, if you follow us and what we talk about in our STEP program, Steps to Everyday Productivity. And I said, okay, I'm actually going to work on my closet this month. I want to get it clean, streamlined. I just want it to feel really good. So as I was doing that cleaning, I was just listening to an audiobook and I was enjoying and getting everything organized. And I realized that there were several items in my closet that had been causing me some frustration over the past couple of years. Not because they needed anything done necessarily right away, but that was the problem. They were just kind of sitting there. I couldn't throw them away or put them somewhere else at that time because I needed to do something with them. There was some action associated. So I thought, you know what? Now that I've figured out why these things have been cluttering up my closet and my life and my mind, I want to help our Learn, Do, Become community to just get that perspective and hear the logic of how I went from feeling overwhelmed in my closet to actually getting things put away, streamlined where they belong. And I've been able to maintain this. Now I've got a better routine in place to keep my closet organized and streamlined. And so I have really great hope and optimism that I'm going to be able to maintain this for a long, long time. Of course, doing some kind of a cleanup after a season or, as you change fashion trends or whatever is normal. But I want you to be able to feel like after listening to this podcast, you could go into your closet, you could just take a little bit of time, get it all spruced up. And then as you go through that process, you're going to be thinking, ooh, I can actually make my life streamlined as well. So I'm going to take you now into that little 10-minute recording that I made while I was in my closet. This was a few weeks ago. And then I'll meet you on the other side of that and talk about how I'm decluttering my life using similar principles. Okay, we'll jump into the closet. All right, so I'm here sitting on the floor of my closet looking around at all the things I just cleaned out. It's pretty amazing. As I look at my closet, I'm feeling like I can breathe. Everything in my closet is what I want in my closet. I feel excited about my clothes. I feel excited about my shoes. I have everything that I need, and there's tons of open space. But I'm looking at all the piles of things that I've put outside my closet, and I did follow the 3-box method. So I have one pile of things for trash, I have one pile of things to donate, and then I have a pile of things that I'm going to put somewhere else. So I want to explain a little bit more about the pile of things to put somewhere else. The first two are pretty easy as far as like trash, old bags, things that have just kind of been sitting in there. I thought there was a bag with something in it, it didn't have anything in it. Okay, so trash is pretty easy. The pile of things to donate, yes, oh, so good. Lots of shirts that I've been keeping just because someone I love gave me the shirt, or bags that I thought I might use, but I'm not, or a bathing suit that's been sitting there for 3 years I've never worn. You guys get it, right? Okay, but let's now move over because I have a really large pile of things that go somewhere else. Some of them are easy, like an umbrella is here in my closet, and we actually have a place out in the garage where we hang our umbrellas. Makes much more sense to put this little umbrella with those. I also have things like a bag of little toys to take to church if there are little children next to us. Awesome, but I don't need to keep them in my closet. I actually have a place upstairs where we have other toys similar to those that are in the bag, so I can just run up there if I need to get it. I have my disco lights, which go in the kitchen because we have disco parties while we clean the kitchen. Things like sheets that I have one place where we keep all the sheets for the house. Okay, so a lot of these things, it's just where would I go to look for these items? And I already have a place. But there are about 4 items that actually require some effort on my part before I can put them where they belong. And these are the kinds of things that typically prevent us from cleaning out our closets or any other space in our home or office, because it's not a clear decision. Like the umbrella is clear, not a big deal. These 4 things aren't so much. And so I just want to walk through the 4 items and explain to you the way that I think through it. So hopefully it can help you if you're feeling stuck on a few things. Okay, so the first of the 4 is a stack of frames. And most of them are wedding pictures. We used to have them hanging in our bedroom in the home we moved from a few years ago. But these frames don't really go with the bedroom here, or they wouldn't really fit right on the walls. And anyway, I'm not planning on hanging them, at least not right now. Downstairs, we have a closet where we put a lot of items that need to be framed. So at first glance, I thought, I'll just put these downstairs with the other items that are, needing to be hung or waiting to be framed, and I could just keep them all together. But then I realized, well, no, these are my only copies of some of these wedding pictures. I don't want to just put them downstairs because then I won't be able to look at my wedding pictures, or what if they get damaged or something like that. So then I thought, well, probably my next step would be to scan these pictures. But I haven't really used that scanner for a while. It would take a little bit of practice for me to actually use it. And I think the scanner we have right now requires a USB, and I'm not sure if I know which USB to use. So I realized that my next action would be to take those frames, put them upstairs by my desk, and then maybe get together with one of my children and say, hey, can we figure out how to scan these together? That can actually be a relationship building activity. I can show them these wedding pictures, we can talk about it, we can get them scanned, make sure we have a nice quality scan, and then I can go ahead and put the frames where they belong, perhaps even keeping these nicer photos in a photo album or sheet protectors or something like that so that they are safe, okay? So now I feel a lot better about that pile of frames. It will eventually go down with the other frames, but for the time being, I'm going to extract the task put those upstairs, and then I'll be able to actually get them scanned. All right, item number 2. Eric and I were doing some brainstorming on parenting. We were struggling with a parenting scenario, and so I got out one of those science project cardboard trifold boards and post-it notes. And then I put the options there on the post-it notes that we could consider in this parenting challenge, and had a lot of other post-it notes on the board of other options and things to consider. It was kind of a private board because I didn't want our children to see what we were thinking of, but I just kind of had it closed and sitting in my closet. Well, we've actually gone through this parenting challenge. We're just about on the other side of it, and so I really don't need this board anymore. But there was a lot of really good thought that was put into that, something that I think should be captured. Perhaps not by taking a photo of it, because again, I don't want my children to necessarily see what we were thinking of and talking about. Not that it was bad, but we were really frustrated, so we were basically writing out all our frustrations. Perhaps it might make sense for me to take those post-it notes off the board, put them into a little journal file that I keep upstairs in my cubbies, and then have them as a little reference, or maybe write a brief journal entry in Evernote about what we were thinking about, what we considered, and then what we decided to do. So that way we can still use that trifold board if one of the children has a science project or something that they need to do, but we won't need to have all those post-it notes, and I don't need to keep it in my closet. We have all of the other boards and supplies downstairs that we can use in the future. Okay, so that's my next action. I'm going to take that board upstairs with the frames, and then we'll move forward from there. Okay, third of the 4 items, we received a beautiful gift of family doodots, which is an awesome system so many of my friends have loved. This doodot system lets children flip over magnets in order to track when they accomplish different jobs or responsibilities or routines, and it's been really, really fun. Now, my 3 oldest children don't use the system. They're teenagers, they have their own systems, and so we're good. Our youngest son has been using it, but the board is pretty big for one child to be using it, and he's actually kind of transitioned, and he's been pretty responsible and hasn't needed the doodots. So I think it's about time for us to move into something else and take the board out of the kitchen. But I don't want to throw it away or just put it in a donation pile, because it's a really special board, and the creator of it gave us some amazing magnets and all different colors and themes and things like that. So I think it makes sense for me to find a family who would love it and then gift these items to that family. So my next step would be to text 1 or 2 of the mothers in the area that I know who might want it, and then offer this Doodots kit. So in the meantime, I can keep these materials in my closet upstairs, my office closet, as long as I have, some of the door now, as long as I have a calendar trigger to remind me. Okay, and then the final one are old suits from our sons. We have 3 suits that our children no longer can wear, and I'm thinking there are some boys in the area who might appreciate them. But the suits need to be dry cleaned, but I'm not sure, because if I donate them somewhere, they would probably clean them anyway. And so I've just kind of been having these suits sit there. So my next step is to go onto our Facebook group for our community and ask if anyone needs these suits. Wait, but actually before I do that, I need to look and see what the sizes are of the suits, so I know which sizes to share in the Facebook post so people will know. So next step is just open it up, look at the sizes, and then put that into the Facebook group. Then I will set a calendar trigger to make sure that I remember to go check, make sure, see if somebody has said that they wanted them. And if nobody wants them, then I will go ahead and donate the suits. But if someone does want them, then I'll go get them dry cleaned and deliver clean suits to whoever it is who would like to use them. Okay, so that makes it feel so much easier as I look at these frames and this board and these doodots and these suits. Instead of thinking, oh, hang on, oh, I need to get those cleaned, or who wants those, or oh, I gotta scan those pictures, or those thoughts that come into your mind that kind of leave you stuck. We don't need to feel that way. We just make sure that we have those tasks extracted, And then we put the items somewhere out of the way with a calendar trigger to remind us to follow up. That way we can clear our closets or our drawers or our rooms or our offices, and we won't have that feeling of overwhelm. I'm really excited. I'm going to go put all these things where they belong. Good luck with your cleaning and organizing as well. All right, I hope that was a fun little walk through the process and the logic and what was going on in my brain, and I hope you're getting some ideas for what you can apply to your own closets. I want to just give you a brief update now as to what I'm doing to clean out my life, because it's a lot easier to talk about a closet. I can talk about picture frames, and I can talk about children's clothing, and I can talk about my shoes or my hangers or whatever, and that's not really emotional. But when you start trying to clear out your life, sometimes it causes you to dig a lot deeper. So I'm just going to share a few things that I've been doing behind the scenes here that have been a really big help for me. And I hope that as I share my story, that you can be thinking about your own story and perhaps identify some things in your life that need to be cleared out. Okay, so number one, a lot of you know that I have been running powerofmoms.com. At the same time, I've been running learndobecome.com. Power of Moms started back in 2007, and I love it. I love serving mothers. In fact, I kind of feel like that's where my voice most belongs, is with moms. I love it so much. And I grew up with a mother who I adored, but motherhood was really hard for me. So I created Power of Moms as a way not only to help myself to learn about the principles of motherhood, but to reach back and help others. But over the last 5 years, almost 6 years now, 5 years of Learn to Become, I started to feel stretched thinner and thinner because Learn to Become is growing really rapidly. And I feel like, wow, especially with our Steps to Everyday Productivity program, we have thousands and thousands of people who are coming into this program, and I want to start directing my efforts to really growing that. But then my work at Power of Moms has felt like, well, I can't really put my whole heart into that. And how do I do it? And we have an amazing volunteer team. And there was just so much I wanted to do, but I was feeling really torn. And then what started happening is my health started to suffer, where you think that you can kind of trick your body into feeling like everything's okay. But I found I actually couldn't. And so I don't know if I told this on a podcast before, but I went to the doctor and I was like, something is wrong with me. And I thought I knew what the problem was. Turned out I actually didn't know what the problem was. He said, you're stressed and you need to make some changes. So here's what I did. I wasn't ready to just cancel Power of Moms, and I'm not going to delete Power of Moms. I love it. But I decided to take a Power of Moms sabbatical. We're just kind of putting everything on pause. Our current volunteer team, they commit for 1 year at a time. So the year's almost up. And I just said, hey, we're going on a sabbatical. So we're going to just kind of pause. We're going to put everything on hold for a little bit, just so I have some time to think about it a little bit more. Because as we're hiring here at Learn to Become, and as we're growing the team and getting our systems in place, I think that I'll have a better perspective from which to make decisions in a few months regarding Power of Moms. So we're just doing a sabbatical. So the reason I share this is because if in your life right now you are trying to do multiple things and you feel, I'm split, maybe there's something you can do where it's not an either or, but you could just put something on pause for a little while. It feels so good. And I just want to share with you how much it's opened my brain and helped me to feel a lift, because I don't feel that pressure. I'm learning how to take that pressure off of myself. Okay, another one. Actually, right now, I'm leaving to the airport in like 3 hours. I'm taking my children to see my dad. He has, and I don't want to share too much personal stuff on here, especially his story, but essentially he is towards the end of his life right now. And I got to see him a couple weeks ago, but he's been declining. He's sleeping most of the day. He still knows who we are and he's still awake, but he's declining. And he's almost 80, he's 87, and my mom passed away a couple years ago. So we feel like, he's had a great life and he's wonderful. But it is now time for his life to come to a close. And so one thing that I've just had to do is acknowledge that that's a big deal for me. I was talking to Eric the other day, and I just said, Eric, I know that we're all good. I don't have any regrets of my life with my dad. I love my dad so much. We've spent a lot of time together, and he's lived a good life, so I don't feel sad. But this is actually taking up quite a bit of emotional bandwidth for me because I miss him and I love him and I'm mourning him as he's closing his life. And I want our children, so I'm taking our children to say goodbye to him, and I want them to be able to think about their memories with him and be able to have that experience. And so I just said, I'm just learning I have to create a little more space in my life right now, and maybe get enough sleep and maybe make sure like I'm acknowledging that this is a big deal for me. So I share this because in your life, I'm guessing that there are some emotional things going on that you might be kind of trying to brush under the rug. You know, it might not be a death, but it might be a dream that you were working towards that isn't a possibility right now. Or maybe you're frustrated with something going on with a child of yours or a friend. Or maybe there's some intense stuff happening in a relationship, or maybe there's just been some catastrophes that have happened financially. I mean, all of us, everyone I talk to has something going on. So I know you do too. But I just think that when we can acknowledge like, hey, this is actually pretty hard to go through. I need to process this. It's hard for anyone. And this is a challenge, and give ourselves that space. That's going to actually help, again, just like taking something out of your closet that you have to look at every day, being able to say, let me just take that pressure off myself. Let me acknowledge I need a little more time to adjust to this and process. So I'm really excited to get to see my dad, and I'm really excited to be there with my children and get to see my siblings, and we go through photo albums together and we sing together. There's a lot of great memories that we're going to create this weekend. And I'm glad he's still around for us to be able to go and have this time. So anyway, that's kind of what we're doing too. And then also just wanted to share a brief story about something that I did with a coach recently. Eric and I have been working to grow, learn, do, become for a long time. And I realized that the bigger we grew, like we had our biggest month last month or in January. Okay, so January 2020 is the biggest month we've ever had. So many people coming into our STEP program, so many people in our community. I've never sent so many hundreds of thousands of emails in a month as I did in January. But I found that the bigger and bigger it was getting, the more stressed I was getting, and I was sleeping less or not as well. And I was waking up feeling kind of worried. I didn't know why. So I met with my coach, Mike, who I talked about a while ago. He specializes in cognitive behavioral therapy, helps people learn how to just think through and identify distortions and figure out why you might be feeling stress. And the podcast I recorded after my first session with him, it's on emotional decluttering. So we'll link to that in the show notes as well. But I met with Mike for another coaching session, and I just said, okay, here's my problem. Things are going really well. Actually, it's not a problem. It's an opportunity, but things are going really well, and I'm super stressed out, and I don't know why. And he said, okay, let's talk through it. So we actually went through a process, and he pulls up this Google Doc and puts in these charts, and we start talking, and he's asking me questions, and we're filling out the Google Doc, and it's super like step by step, which is why I love the team CBT so much. Love it. And that's, sorry, I keep referring to podcast. That's Dr. David Burns. I did a podcast with him on Learn, Do, Become Radio as well. Amazing. He wrote the book Feeling Good and When Panic Attacks. He's awesome. And Mike Christensen is one of his friends and his therapist who works under him. So anyway, Mike's helping me, and we're walking through, and he's asking me to identify my thoughts in a specific situation. So I'm writing them all down. And then I get to this one. And as we got to it, I was like, oh, that's it. We just found it. That's it. That's why I haven't wanted to grow, learn, do, become. Now, the funny thing is that the reason it seems so strange, and I'll tell you guys, because I know you're my friends. I can just share my heart with you. But the thing is that the thought that I wrote down is that the bigger that I grow, learn, do, become, the less I'm following the example of my mom. And a lot of you who know like how much I love my mother know that I wanted to be like her all growing up. And she stayed home with us, and she made bread, and she took bread to all the neighbors, and she would spend so much of her time just on the phone listening to people. And she ministered to people one-on-one. And I watched that, and I saw how she impacted people at such a deep level, and how people loved her so much, and how she loved them so much, and how she took care of me and ministered to me. And I just thought, that is exactly who I want to be. And I wrote a book called Thursdays with Zoe, where I talked about all the lessons she taught me. And I just wanted to be just like her. And then what was happening is, as I'm here, even on the podcast recording right now, like I'm sitting in a room staring at a computer, but I don't see all the people who are here in our community. And so I feel like not only am I not doing everything my mom did, but I'm ministering one-to-many to people who sometimes seem like invisible to me. And I know you're not invisible. I know like it's real people listening, but I can't see you and I don't always hear from you. Not that, no pressure, right? But I just felt like the more I grew and the more I ministered one-to-many, and the fact that I'm getting paid to do this, that I have a business behind it, I felt like if I grew, learn to become, I was betraying my mom. And like, that's so silly. Like, I know that's not true. And I had a great talk with Eric afterwards, and I've journaled and worked all through it. But of course, it makes sense that the reason that I was feeling anxious and trying to put the brakes on the business is because I felt like it was an either or. Either I can live a life just like my mom and be just like her, or I can grow, learn to become, and I can completely become something different. So I've worked through that and I feel really good about it. But I share that because I want you to understand that if you're feeling some kind of weird stress or anxiety and you don't know how to put your finger on it, there actually is a process that you can go through to help you identify how to do that. And once I figured out that piece, oh my gosh, now I'm actually excited to grow, learn to become into something even bigger than what I had anticipated previously. And for those of you who have been listening to the podcast for a while, you may have heard me talk about our 25,000 Command Central Challenge. And if you go to learndobecome.com/step 25K, I think that was the URL we chose for it. We'll put it on the show notes too. I think it's, step 25K. Okay, that's our URL. We had this challenge where you can actually build your Command Central, you can take a picture of it, you can send it in, and then we have a little prize that we give you. It's really fun. So I had this vision, 25,000 Command Centrals. Well, now that I've identified why I was limiting my growth, and as I've learned how to take the clutter out of my life, and as I've learned how to give myself a little bit more space and more grace, my goal is actually way bigger than 25,000. And it feels even weird as I'm listening to myself say this, but I do want 25,000 Command Centrals, but I want more than that. Like, I want to help create a Command Central on every desk. I want this to grow so much bigger. But then I'm learning, okay, but if I'm going to do that, I've got to get the roots stronger. I need to make sure I am really taking care of my mental health, my physical health. I need to be working on a team, and our assistant, Annie, is here with us, and she's helping us get our systems in place. She's helping me to build the file structure, helping us to decide, okay, who do we need to hire? What do we need to put together? What are we going to do so that we're going to be able to grow this and really change the world? And that is what is so fun. So, okay, I'll stop with that for today, but I do want to have you hear a quick 1-minute testimonial from Fran. And I'm actually so excited to share it with you because we didn't ask her to. She just recorded this voice memo telling us about what she's been doing with her Command Central and her awesome success. You just got to hear it. So she said we could share it on the podcast. You're going to listen to Fran. But the other reason I wanted to share it is because hearing from Fran helped me to see that even though while I was trying to serve her, I couldn't see her, it helped me to see that, you know what? Yeah, my work here at Learn to Become, it's one-to-one. And yes, it's one-to-many, but I believe that for you and for me, that any good that we put out into the world is going to be able to help individuals. And so as we help you to get more organized, that's going to empower you to help your brothers or sisters or your spouse or your children or your neighbors. I want you to live your purpose. And that's why we're here. So, okay, I'm going to pause for a second and turn you over to Fran, and then I'll meet you back after that.
Hi, my name is Fran, and I just wanted to say how much I appreciate Eric and April for creating the STEP system. I implemented STEP at my job in November and also at home, and it was like so amazing. My productivity just skyrocketed. I ended up getting a raise in December, and then my boss quit in January, and I ended up having his job now. So I got like 2 raises in 2 months, and I moved into his office this weekend only to find that this man never had a filing system. It only took me 1 day to to implement the STEP system at work in my new office because I knew how to do it. And I came to work and I was like ready, smooth sailing, no matter what they threw at me. I had a place for it. I had calendar ticklers going. I mean, it was amazing. And I am just grateful to you guys for having the courage to act on something that was on your heart. And I'm listening to the podcast now and I'm just like, I love it. I love you. I love it. I love your family. So thank you so much.
Okay, she not just the cutest thing that you've ever heard. Oh, I love it so much. I've listened to it like 4 times already. So thank you, Fran. We so appreciate you. Okay, so I'm going to close up now because I'm going to be getting ready for the airport and all the fun coming to see my dad. But I just want to encourage you to come and share your story with us. Now, you can do it in a few ways. You could just leave a comment on the show notes. And again, it's learndobecome.com/episode 82. Or if you want to go to the podcast app, like if you're in iTunes, you're on that podcast app, or if you're on Stitcher Radio, we're on audiobooks, we're on Spotify, Google Play, we're all over. If you want to rate and review the podcast, we would love it. But the thing is, I don't like just asking for compliments. That's really not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for celebrations. So what I would love is if you could come and give the podcast a review. Hopefully you'd be like 5-star or whatever. Hopefully you like it. And then have your comment or your review be your story, where you could say, hey, because I listened to Learn to Become Radio, here's something I did. And then we want to hear, did you clean out your closet? Did you get a new job? Did you build your command central? Are you learning how to declutter your life? Are you becoming more emotionally healthy? Are you feeling a new excitement because you cleaned up your office or your kitchen or whatever? We want to hear your story. So if you don't mind leaving your story as a review for the podcast, that helps us to grow the podcast, and we would so appreciate it. And if you want to share a little audio, we ask that you keep it to like 1 to 2 minutes. But if you want to share your success like Fran did, you could just go to your voice memo on your phone, and then you can send it in to email@learndobecome.com, and our team will take that and review it, and then we might be able to share it here on the podcast, okay? All right, have an amazing day. I hope you can't wait to clean your closet and clear out the clutter that might be in your life. And I hope that you feel excited about the work that you are uniquely meant to do. We are cheering for you. We're excited for you. And we're so grateful you're here with us at Learn, Do, Become. If you're brand new and you're wondering what this Command Central is I'm talking about, go to learndobecome.com/step. Sign up for our free training. It's 1 hour. We're going to teach you 4 simple steps to get out of any pile of clutter. It's awesome. And if you wanted to see all the links to everything I've talked about today, go to learndobecome.com/episode 82. Okay, talk to you soon. Thanks so much for being here with us at learndobecome.com.